return to the final. An epic Game 6 awaits us.
It all goes down tonight. Game 6, it's win or go home for Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. And these are the games that make stars. This is where pressure can make a gem of a game. This series, it's taught us that Wemby, he needs to be that superstar for San Antonio, because you can see right here, in their wins, he's dominated, right? To the tune of 37 points, 16 rebounds a game. But in losses, those numbers have dropped to 22 and 9. He will need to be exceptional to force a Game 7 against the Thunder, who are now just one win away from their second straight finals appearance. And in this era of parity, the last team to do that, remember, it was the Warriors, who made 5 straight between 2015 and 2019. And health has just been such a huge factor in this series. So for more on the health of the Stars in Game 6, we say hello to our senior insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what can you tell us about the likelihood that Jalen Williams is going to be available for this game?
Malika, Jalen Williams' status, as it's been ever since he suffered his second hamstring strain to the same hamstring in just under 1 month. It is very much up in the air tonight and moving forward here in this series if it does require a Game 7. He is doing more and more and progressing more and more in his pregame workouts and his workouts off of team activities, at least for the public. But to have the second strain to the same hamstring just under 1 month just speaks to the severity of what this is and how sensitive and how tricky an injury like this can be. And we know Oklahoma City Thunder as an organization have always been cautious, and especially for a player like J-Dub, who has dealt with multiple different hamstring issues over the course of the season. He's now just 1 week out. This is typically an injury that is measured in weeks, not just days.
Yeah, and you have to imagine feeling like they're one win away, having gotten this far without Jalen Williams. There's no A.J. Mitchell in this game as well. If it means getting him a little bit more time, that they can rest him and heal him, if they feel confident, they're going to give him as much time as he can possibly take. Shams, thank you very much for that insight here. This series, it has been back and forth. We've seen nail-biters. We have seen excellent games. I mean, what a series this has been. And that is with the SGA struggling a little bit by his standards. Because, yes, he scored 26 a game, including 32 in Game 5. But the double teams have been giving him a little bit of trouble. Again, heavy on the little bit of trouble here. Wemby, meanwhile, he is the first player here to average 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks a game during a 5-game span of the conference finals since another Spurs great did it, Tim Duncan. That was back in 2023. But really, when you look at his numbers, as we showed early in the show, it's been feast or famine for him, which makes the bench scoring, right, all that more important. The Thunder bench has scored over twice as many points as the Spurs bench in this series. OKC's 51.4 bench points a game. That's on pace to be the most in conference finals history. As we say hello to our senior writer, Brian Windhorst, our do-it-all analyst, Chiney Agumake. It's going down, Brian. We have a Game 6 tonight. Why did I say that like a fan? It's going down, Brian.
No, it's going down.
It's going down, Brian.
There
Less
we go.
Stewie, a little bit more importance of the
You
game.
did sound like Stewie from Family Guy.
It's called a tan, Brian.
It's called tan.
Let's get back on track to this Game 6. If you're looking at the Oklahoma City Thunder being able to close this out, Mr. Windhorst, what's it going to take?
Shea is in hell. Okay, you say he's struggling, and I agree, but he has never had a series where he has been this demanded from on offense. When you look at Stephon Castle in front of him most of the time, with Victor Wembanyama as the backline defense, with help coming from other players with size, he is having to work so hard, and it shows in his stats. We're talking about a player, Malika, who has shot over 50% and scored over 30 points a game for 4 straight years. In this series, he's shooting under 40% and averaging only 26 because this is such a fight. And it's really a joy to watch. I know people out there, some people are counting how many times he falls and whatever. I think this is absolute strength on strength. The 2-time MVP at the top of his game going against the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year and his band of merry mates who fights him every possession without A.J. Mitchell, without Jalen Williams. And he's really relying on Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso,
right.
2 guys who are not normally primary ball handlers, who've been promoted. Cason Wallace had the most assists he's had in any game in the playoffs last game, in the vital Game 5. And then Alex Caruso had 8 total assists in the first 4 games of the series, had 6 in Game 5 alone because he was trying to create to help Shea out. It is taking a village to beat this powerful Spurs defense.
What's interesting, Wendy, is that last year in their path to the NBA Finals and winning a championship, we saw that Shea's going to get to his numbers. He's going to be the MVP. He's going to be the top dog. But J-Dub emerged as a certified number 2 option, averaging over 20 points in that series versus the Indiana Pacers.
He won him game 5.
Exactly, completely. And different players, that's a perfect segue, have won them games, albeit role players playing like all-stars in the moments that demand it. In game 1, it was Alex Caruso. That was like the game 1. Even though they didn't win, you're still seeing big performances. Finally, the number 2 showed up, right? Chet Holmgren. He's going to be critical. He finally got a double-double, 16 and 11. But it's more than that, because on the road, your supporting cast has to make shots. No better example of this than Chet Holmgren showing up on the road. But also, let me add into the conversation, into the group chat, Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso at home has averaged 23 points per game, shooting 58% from 3. On the road, though, 7.5 points per game. And so there's a drastic difference on how these guys are shooting the ball to provide help for Shea to not feel all of that pressure.
And I don't think history in this case maybe is the best indicator of how tonight is going to go. But we did see the Thunder play a couple of 7-game series last season on their way to a championship. They were not good, Brian, in Game 6 against Denver. That was on the road. They were not good in Game 6 against the Indiana Pacers. That was on the road. And the last time that we saw all of these role players that Shanae is talking about back in San Antonio, a lot of them, Alex Caruso chiefly, really struggled in this game, knowing that it's not likely that J-Dub's going to play, knowing that there is no A.J. Mitchell. How can they make an adjustment there?
They were not good in Game 4 in this series, the last time they played in San Antonio.
Exactly.
So I would agree with you. And so, like, they are going to need some energy early on from Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein were able to outplay Victor Wembanyama in Game 5. I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but if you look at Chet Holmgren and Hartenstein, I believe they outscored Wembanyama and they out-rebounded him together. It's going to take a team effort, but I love the way that Chet came into that game with a scorer's mindset. He has got to apply pressure to get some of the attention off of Shea, because Shea is struggling to breathe. I am actually very impressed with the numbers that Shea is putting up. And especially on the road, where you can't necessarily count on those role players, count on your other All-NBA guy.
You know what's crazy, Wendy? What you say about Shea can be applied to Victor. Struggling to breathe. The physicality, you know, the way that they've gravitated to him. We have this new stat, gravity, right? Victor Wembanyama cannot breathe. We saw that in Game 5 in the same way that SGA is dealing with double teams, and that's why we're seeing some of those slow starts. And for me, it just comes down to how you style the game. Victor, to me, he was fatigued. That was a fatigue game. He did not have his legs. We saw that on the three-point shot. He was over 5 from 3. He got stuffed on some dunks, right? He should be more rested, but both guys play inside out, despite being a guard and a post player. In Game 1, Victor Wembanyama had 6 dunks, I believe. Now, in the last game, in the last win, he had 4 dunks.
Right.
Whenever he dunks the ball more, his team wins more. Go on the inside, similar to Shea. Shea has to be able to score in transition before the defense gets set up.
Right.
So it's interesting to see a guard and a post have similar pathways for success.
But as much as we talk about Shea struggling offensively, what we really mean is he's struggling to score, because he is averaging 10 assists, right, a game. And so that would be, nearly 10 assists in the conference final. So while his scoring is down, the playmaking is there. It's just that the other guys have to capitalize on that.
Yeah, the playmaking is hot and cold based off of his teammates being able to shoot. And we tend to see this hot and cold where it's cold on the road and hot at home. Because what does Perk say? Perk's not on the show, but role players play better at home. He's not lying. He's been saying it for a very long time.
That was very good.
But that is, was that good?
Yeah, that was good.
But that is absolutely the truth. And so I think for Shea, again, beating the defense down the floor and attacking there, what's crazy is that Victor is always looming. And sometimes the looming works to Shea's benefit so he can pass. But when it doesn't, that's where he has to look to capitalize. But, like, this is the first time we're seeing Victor Wembanyama in a postseason.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He is the help side defender coming to slow Shea down. No one designed in basketball can do that better than Victor.
Yeah, and Victor is going to have to be that superstar that we saw in Game 1, that superstar. It hit at mid-length. So projected first-round picks, Christian Anderson, Alan Graves, Koa Pete, they actually all decided to stay in the draft, but several top 40 players, including Andrei Stojakovic, will be returning to college here. And you can see other top prospects in the transfer portal waiting for decisions to be made here. Which brings us to some breaking news, because this is the last year we're going to see the current draft lottery process. Shams Charania is here with more. Shams, I understand that the Board of Governors meeting, it just wrapped up. What exactly did they decide on how the draft lottery is going to look moving forward?
Malika, sources tell me that the NBA's Board of Governors has voted and approved new anti-tanking rule changes, draft reform moving forward, starting in the 2027 NBA draft. The draft lottery will now move from 14 teams to 16 teams. Overall, there will be flattened odds, but most importantly, the bottom 3 teams will be punished with lessened odds moving forward for the #1 overall pick. It's called a 3-2-1 lottery reform because now if you're a bottom 3 team, you will actually be penalized with lesser lottery balls, as in 2, than other potential teams that are slotted 4 through 10. I'm told the vote passed 29-1. The Memphis Grizzlies were the lone team to vote against, and that's because they have the Utah Jazz pick next year that now, because of the new rule, which has a couple stipulations, one being you can't pick #1 in back-to-back years. The second stipulation is you can't have a top 5 pick in 3 consecutive years. So that Jazz pick now will not be able to be a top 5 pick. The Grizzlies are receiving the bad end of an unintended consequence from what is now, for the NBA, a radical response to radical behavior. The NBA felt that there were nearly 8 to 10 teams jockeying for lottery odds down the stretch of this season, and the goal from the relegation zone is right now to try to get those bottom 3 teams to compete to stay out of that area and have more lottery balls, and for teams that are slotted 4 through 10 to not be in that relegation zone because you don't want to be there because you have lessened odds. So trying to incentivize winning, and this comes after months and months of conversations, debate, brainstorm. And Malika, one more point to add. With this vote, the Board of Governors have now given Adam Silver increased disciplinary authority to implement a wide range of action depending on tanking violations moving forward. Fines up to $10 million. He can take draft picks away. He can also have teams forfeit their picks. He can change picks. He can change odds. So this now gives Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, increased authority.
Wow. All right. So really bringing the hammer down on tanking. That is the idea behind this new policy, Shams, that the Board of Governors just voted to pass. Not unanimously, but voted to pass. Thank you very much for that insight. I do want to bring Brian Windhorst into this discussion. Brian, Shams does such an excellent job at explaining something that I think is very complicated. And yet, sometimes NBA fans, talking to folks, their eyes glaze over a little bit at this new tanking policy because it is incredibly complicated. So can you just distill down what is the most important thing to take away from today's vote?
Yeah, it used to be if you were a bottom 3 team and boy, or 4 team, and boy, did teams really try to get in that bottom 4, you had the best chances. And now they're just making it very hard for you to win the top pick. So under the current system, which we just had, if you were in that top 4, you all had a 14% chance of winning that #1 pick, and obviously a really good chance of being in that top 3. Now, if you've got one of the worst records, your chances of getting a top pick have been slashed. You have a much better chance of falling into the 6 through 12 range, and you could fall all the way to 12th, Malika. You could have the worst record in the league and end up with the 12th pick, and there's a reasonable chance you're going to be back there. So they want teams not tanking to get into the bottom 3. They want teams fighting to the finish to get out of the top 3. And look, they understand that this is a triage situation. This is a bleeding wound. And the reason we know that is part of this is that they're only planning to do this for 3 years. This is a 3-year window. Now, they may extend it, but they've already got what they call a sunset provision in there. The sun's already coming down. We're already past noon. 3 more years, and they may take this away. But I also think something's interesting is that the lottery will no longer be numbers anymore. It will literally be balls with the team's logo on them. And I suspect that the NBA will do it live. that they will watch, and all the fans will see the balls come out with the team. It won't be an hour later or whatever, which breaks my heart because I love that intrigue. But those will be the differences that we will see coming out.
But you're right. Having this in place for 3 years is the NBA saying this is an acute problem. We need to deal with it now. We know that this may be a slight overreaction, but that is how egregious we see these tanking violations as. All right, we'll have more on that as we march towards the NBA draft. But, Shanae, we got some WNBA action to get to. So let's go coast to coast, starting with Minnesota. Natasha Howard, Courtney Williams, Olivia Miles gave Atlanta nightmares. This is how it went down at Target Center, right?
Oh, snap.
In the second quarter here, Angel Reese collects the offensive rebound, kicks it out to Jordan Canada for three.
JC, former teammate of mine, when she's knocking down those shots, it's a good look. And hello, face.
Reese had
never declined.
10, 8, and 5. Olivia Miles.
Leader right here for Rookie of the Year. She's averaging 15 points per game and also leading rookies in assists.
And then Miles once again.
Oh, my God. Look at that
Tasha
dime.
Howard.
I would love to play with Olivia.
A little pick and
As
roll
a post
there.
player,
So watch this. Miles gets to the bucket again for 2, but did you see this celebration afterwards? She goes a little too small. This is what Natasha Howard had to say about Miles' celebration.
You don't really see a lot of rookies coming in being like her, being herself, being comfortable who she is. But she kind of gave me like a Lindsay Whalen back then when Lindsay was playing. So I love it. But we got her back though.
The Mets got her back.
confident.
Miles had 16 points, 8 rebounds.
Electric.
The Lynx get the win in this one. And as you can see here, early on, Olivia Miles is doing a little bit of everything here, joining a short list of players to average 15, 5 boards, 5 assists through 7 games.
Short list, great company.
Exactly.
Kane lifting, launching, knocking a three. McCain feeling it, fucking it.
Jared McCain could be mayor of this city right now.
Game number 5 to the Thunder. 1 win from a return to the finals.
I've been saying it all year. We're a group of 1 through 15. And we wouldn't be this deep in the season without everybody on the team, and it just showed again tonight.
Game 6 is tonight, and the Thunder are looking to advance to the NBA Finals for the 2nd straight year. So let's just take a look back here. This is going through our scorebook, games 1 through 5. Game 1, remember, it was a huge game for Victor, and it was defined by 1 big shot. It was this pull-up from Steph Curry range to tie the game in overtime, a historic 40-20 game from Victor. But for OKC, they really just didn't look like themselves here in Game 1. That's in large part because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, their MVP, only shot 7 for 23. But Game 2, we saw a complete 180. No turnover troubles for OKC. Turnover troubles here for San Antonio. Dylan Harper left with an injury. No OKC really capitalized. SGA bounced back 30 points, 12 of 24 shooting, and that allowed the Thunder to tie up the series. So when the series went to San Antonio, the Thunder kept rolling in. The bench stepped up. They combined to score 76 points. And despite another big game from Victor Wembanyama, his bench was only able to chip in 23. It was the Thunder who took a 2-1 series lead. Game 4, though, that was another shift back to what we saw of Game 1. SGA, he struggled to get going. He failed to reach 20 points for just the 2nd time this season. Meanwhile, huge response for Victor and the Spurs, including this memorable half-court buzzer-beater halftime shot. What a game. And then it was a complete opposite again. We're seeing this back and forth happen a lot. Victor struggled to get going in Game 5. He only shot 4 of 15 from the field, including 3 of 11 when he was guarded by Isaiah Hartenstein. A 32-point night for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And that brings us to this Game 6. So let's check in with our starters. They're always putting up big numbers. Tim McMahon, Michael C. Wright covering Oklahoma City, covering the San Antonio Spurs for us. Tim, I'm going to start with you on the OKC side here because we heard from Shams earlier in the game. It doesn't sound likely, although J-Dub is questionable, that he is going to play in this one. So how are the Thunder planning to continue to adjust here?
Howdy, Malika. Look, J-Dub's been questionable the last 3 games, and the routine's been he does his pregame shooting thing. They rule him out 45 minutes before tip, but these have not been game-time decisions. As a matter of fact, Jared McCain was informed before shoot-around going into Game 5 that he would be in the starting lineup. And Jared McCain has really become one of the main characters for the Thunder, not just this series, but over these last couple rounds. This is the one guy in the rotation who wasn't part of the championship run last season, who doesn't have a championship ring, but he has what these guys call contagious confidence. Doesn't matter if he's made or missed his last shot, his last few shots, they know it's going up when he's got to look. They want him to let it fly. That's why they plugged him into the starting lineup, to give him some offensive juice. And he also just has this upbeat, always smiling kind of personality. I think it might have rubbed the Spurs the wrong way, judging by a little Plumlee elbow and Biyombo giving him the hard foul. But we'll see if Jared McCain, with that jump shot, will be smiling while they are accepting a Western Conference championship trophy. Because if Thunder can win this one tonight, there will be a ceremony right here midcourt in San Antonio.
Right. I am curious to see whether or not, if J-Dub is in fact not able to go, if they stick with Jared McCain in the starting lineup. He started slow, but he had a huge second half for OKC. Michael, on the Spurs side of all of this, Victor Wembanyama, we've talked about it a lot. He struggled in Game 5. He didn't speak to reporters after the game, so we haven't actually gotten a chance to hear straight from him. But what have you heard about how he was digesting that game, about how he plans to respond tonight?
Well, the interesting part about that is we still haven't talked to Victor Wembanyama, but I am told that his decision to not speak with the media was sort of like this internal motivation thing. I don't know if I necessarily buy that, but you also have to understand that Victor Wembanyama is the same guy that said he refuses to carry the burden of hiding his emotions. So obviously it was an emotional game, and there was a lot of buzz in the locker room about them being upset about the refs. So maybe him not talking saved him from saying something that he would have regretted. But I got to tell you, Mitch Johnson, he said Victor Wembanyama has to take more than 15 shots in Game 6. He's got to have more than 20 points. Steph Castle said, look, we understand that Vic is trying to play the right way, but we need Victor to be aggressive, because when he's aggressive, it opens up shots for everybody else.
And maybe that's what we saw Keldon Johnson trying to say to him in that very KD Draymond-esque moment that we ended up seeing ahead of Game 5. We will see how Victor responds here in this all-important winner-go-home Game 6. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoy the game. Michael, to your point, Wemby, though, he went for just 20 points, 27% shooting in Game 5. That's after he scored 30 a game on 53% shooting in the first 4 games. In fact, he made at least half his shots in each of his first 4 games before that Game 5, where he had a little bit of a clunker here. But, Janae, there's a big reason why. It's not just Wemby struggling. Someone is doing this to him. Tell us what's going on here.
You know what the kids love to say? He understood the assignment. This is an assignment right here, this matchup. Isaiah Hartenstein taking on Victor Wembanyama, and he got a check mark in the last game. Let's show his impact, because he helped limit Victor Wembanyama to 4 of 15 from the floor. First and foremost, Victor, he pushes him outside the lane to get him to the top of the key, and he's able to guard him in single coverage and have a good contest. That's one. That's on the inside. Now let's talk about the outside, because Victor Wembanyama going into Game 5 was shooting 43% from 3. He has his feet outside ready to defend, but most importantly, he has help on the backside. Shout out to Casey Wallace for being able to react here, slow Victor down so that he buys Hartenstein some time. And now, once again, he's on an island in single coverage, and he's able to, as Perk would say, move those puppies and contest. That was the effort defensively that Hartenstein had. Now let's switch over to offensively, because it's wild. The Thunder, they shot 69%, 11 for 16 on Victor because of plays like this and shots like this. The patented floater that he has with the left. It's really nice, and it's because Victor often sees himself in help side. Watch here. This is where Hartenstein is. He's in the dunker spot. Again, Victor is in help side guarding 2, which means he's a step late. Hartenstein makes the right read. The extension is there. I always say that his wingspan is infinite. He knocks his floater down. Another possession. He's always moving without the basketball. He's looking for it too. Here, he's generating offense. Here's a nice little slam screen. Once again, Victor's in a conundrum. De'Aaron Fox is late here. He's having to guard here. And then again, Hartenstein able to create enough separation for him to get his floater. Again, Victor Wembanyama, I'm excited for the response, but that is the matchup, both on offense and defense, that will really dictate how the Spurs extend potentially this series.
Yeah, Isaiah Hartenstein, Janae, has been phenomenal. And Brian, Mitch Johnson, he talked about Wemby needing to take more than 15 shots. It's not just the makes, it's the number of looks that he's getting. How can the Spurs help him get there tonight?
I loved everything that Mitch Johnson said, and I'm sure he said the same things to Victor. And I know that this sounds like old man 1965 analysis, but he needs to go be by the basket. His size, every step he goes to the basket, his size matters more. His size around the basket is so vitally important in a game like this. Look, I understand that his two most amazing moments in this series were long three-pointers. And certainly you do not want to stifle his ability to stretch the floor and put the defense in a bad spot. But in a game like this where you need efficient scoring and you are playing the powerhouse team defensively that the Thunder is, you've got to use your size to the advantage. Whether that's finishing those alley-oops where you put the Thunder in tough rotation, or it's just going in there and trying to get to the foul line. He did a good job of that in Game 5. He's got to use his size. In an elimination game, being 7'5" has got to be the difference.
And sometimes it's just that simple, right? Victor has to be able to really go inside, use his size, to your point. And we're not saying it all falls on Victor Wembanyama, but we know that Dylan Harper is struggling with injuries. We know that De'Aaron Fox isn't 100% here. And so Victor has to set the tone if we want to see this series be pushed to a Game 7 here. Let's go back east here as Jalen Brunson. I think Kobe would be proud of the numbers that he is putting up and the winning that the Knicks are doing here in the postseason. Because Brunson's just the third player in NBA history in the playoffs to average 25 points, 5 assists over an 11-game streak. And he fittingly joins, yes, 2017 Steph Curry, but also Kobe Bryant in 2001. And Brunson, he spoke today on what he's focused on with all this time off between now and the NBA Finals.
Obviously, just being ready to go by the time Game 1 hits. Just comparing our situation from last time, being mentally and physically locked in. And I think that's really important for us, and that's what we have to focus on these next couple days.
Thanks, Joe.
Whose phone is this?
I don't know. Who we got?
I'm not gonna say anything. But you have a very funny group chat. That's why I asked you what your question was.
Read them. Tell us what's in the group chat. Just kidding. Jalen Brunson's a real one, and we got a real one joining us now, Monica McNutt. Monica, thank you so much for the time. There is no one who knows these New York Knicks better than you, and we know that New York has quite some time off here between now and the NBA Finals. And Jalen Brunson, Karl-Anthony Towns, they both talked about how focused they want to be here. What's Jalen Brunson, his impact in particular, been on this group?
Man, first of all, Malika, that was great reporting on your part on the sneakers. This team is not here without Jalen Brunson. He is the cornerstone of what the Knicks have been able to build about bringing them back to the NBA Finals. He is the guy who is best equipped to shapeshift in terms of what this team needs. You know, in previous seasons, the last two, he was far more ball dominant. This year, he's off the ball a bit more. In particular, highlighted in this postseason run. But when things got tight in that Eastern Conference Game 1, it sure did shift to the old offense out of necessity. And Jalen Brunson was the delightful closer that he has come to be loved by New York.
Yeah, absolutely. But if Jalen Brunson is the cornerstone, as you put it, then Karl-Anthony Towns has to be the bedrock, right, of this team. Yeah. He's become so important to this group. I know you mentioned going back to the old offense, which of course is centered around Jalen Brunson, but Karl-Anthony Towns unlocked so much for this group. How has he been the difference maker?
Well, his ability, Malika, earlier this season, he really talked about wanting to be more involved. He and Mike Brown had to have a little bit of a meeting of the minds, which I think is totally healthy. And being involved was not about scoring. It was about being involved. And we saw him put up fantastic numbers in terms of his assist marks, his rebounding this year, being one of the league leaders in double-doubles. But in this postseason in particular, he has just added a level of efficiency and aggressiveness that is impressive. And for him, staying out of foul trouble is so important to his ability to be a monster contributor in terms of what the Knicks do.
And if it is Oklahoma City that they are facing in the postseason, that is going to become all the more important here for Karl-Anthony Towns. Monica, there's no one better. Thank you so much for stopping by NBA Today. We're going to be seeing a whole lot of you in New York City very, very soon here. As for their next opponent, though, I said maybe it could be Oklahoma City. It could, right? The Knicks did win 2 out of the 3 against the Spurs, though, in the regular season. That includes the in-season tournament. Less luck against Oklahoma City, however. Their offense made tonight. Let's start off with some top flyers. 2012, OKC, Russell Westbrook. Elevates.
Oh, hello, Mr. MVP.
Executes. And look, it's on San Antonio.
Oh, the irony. Is this a little foreshadowing?
See history repeat itself. And then Kawhi Leonard flying in.
The claw.
That's over Giannis, by the way.
Oh, wow. Not to be ignored.
Exactly. Now on to some top stat lines here. This is 2012 Heat. LeBron, 45 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists in a defining game against the Celtics here.
What he did to the East should not be legal.
And then there's Game 6 Clay, 2016. He put up 41, 11 threes. This is also against Oklahoma.
And 3 dribbles.
Lastly, Jimmy Buckets. 47
like
points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists against the Celtics here. Jimmy Butler gave us some all-time moments.
That's one of the greatest
here.
games I've ever seen live.
Truly.
Real talk.
Truly. All right, and then we have the legends, right? Michael Jordan. Crazy move here past Bill Laimbeer.
Oh, come on.
That's just acrobatics.
It is.
And then next up, Kobe Bean Bryant. Sealing the game. Don't jump.
Oh,
sealing the game in Phoenix.
Right in front.
And last, but certainly not least, the chase down block, not that one, this one, on Terry Rozier in 2018. Man, LeBron, he's had a couple of those. He's broken a couple of hearts with blocks like that.
That ball left the arena.
Winning time here. This is 1997. John Stockton's game winner. At the buzzer, Sinead, look away.
I know, my Rockets. No, my eyes are bleeding.
Look at it, don't look away. And lastly, in 2023, in Boston, Derek White. This was just...
Oh, Derek White.
Miraculous.
What a moment.
As time expires here. Absolutely
and then
sensational.
The Heat won Game 7 in Boston.
And there you go. And what could we see? Could we see more added to that tonight here, Brian? We've called this Star Wars, right? This is in a galaxy far, far away. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama going head-to-head in an otherworldly way. What, sir, is this game going to come down to?
This is Victor Wembanyama's moment. You know, I feel like his energy level has gone up and down, and I get it. He's farther and deeper into any season he's ever been in his life. He is going to need to have an impactful game tonight, and I'm going to tell you something. He knows it.
He does. This is the focus that we've come to see Victor Wembanyama be defined by. Sinead, you've actually been in these players' shoes. Can you just set the stage? We all know the stakes, but maybe not the feeling of what it's like marching into one of these games.
There's anxiety, right? Because this is an important game and you're so excited. But at the same time, this is the game that you've worked your entire life for. I cannot wait. It feels like Victor Wembanyama is a child of destiny. And so I'm excited to see them going up against the defending champs. To me, if you're a player, you just want to be able to play your hardest and make sure you bring your team along. I feel like we're in for an epic night.
A recent history says that Game 6s have not been in OKC's favor.